As we know that every human being in this world has an aspiration of living a normal life, it is very obvious that we live with hope and keep dreaming of a beautiful life ahead. My dear friends, today we have arrived in a women's shelter in Dhaka, Bangladesh, which is commonly known as Apun Nivash Old Home. As of now, they are only providing support to helpless women of any age group. And luckily, we got the opportunity to meet with these amazing ladies. You may get a little bit confused seeing Old Home in their organization's name because they do not provide shelter to old men. Unfortunately, a huge portion of these women are homeless, oppressed by their families and society. Many of them couldn't even remember their real identities. And I was told most of these poor ladies are rescued from the street without an address. In Apan Nibash, we met Raheela Begum. She has born in a solvent and educated family in Noya Bazar, Dhaka. The house where she grew up is known as Hidayat Bhavan. Unfortunately, she lost her parents at a young age. Afterwards, she was staying with her brothers as their housemaid in their own house for a long time, or until she got very old. Sadly, she even never got a chance to get married. Saida Selina Shelley is the person who has initially come up with the idea of this organization. That is why we have asked her a few questions about her journey. How did you start this organization?
I am basically a women activist. For most of my life, I have fought for the rights and dignity of helpless and oppressed women. While doing it, a group of old women came to my house and requested me to provide them shelter. Since then, the journey of this old home or shelter for a group of very helpless women has started in an unplanned manner.
What type of obstacles have you faced in the beginning to run this charity operation?
Initially, it was not funded or pre-planned by any other person or organization. As you know, our society doesn't consider these helpless people as human at all, which is why I couldn't even rent a house or a flat in the beginning. As a result, we were forced to create a shelter for these helpless people in an abandoned house without electricity and water supply. Typically, almost everyone who comes here for shelter is in a very vulnerable situation. That's why, unfortunately, we have got a high death rate here in this asylum. The sad reality is we face so many difficulties to bury these poor women in the nearby cemetery or graveyard. As we do not have our own vehicle, the biggest challenge for us is to travel with our severe patients for 7 to 8 kilometers almost every other day by man driven vehicles. Most of the women here are found on the streets. Sadly, they do not have any type of identity cards as well as they cannot even recall the exact place where they have grown up. For this reason, unfortunately, we do not get any allowances or grants from the government for them. As they do not have any identity cards, that is why it was a huge challenge for us to vaccinate them during the pandemic time to prevent COVID-19.
The name of this organization is Apan Nibash Old Home. Why don't you have any men besides women here in this place?
In our society, women are more abused than men and often got sexually harassed. That is why, as a woman, I am more concerned about our rights.
Miss Shelley has mentioned that as of now they just have only one building where it is almost impossible for a man and a woman to live together. But she has informed us that after facing so much hardship and financial crisis, they have finally managed to purchase a permanent piece of land for their old home. If she can build a house on their land with the help of everybody, then she would surely make a separate arrangement for the old men of this society. Right now, we are standing in front of a land which is purchased by Apun Niba's old home to create a permanent accommodation for their helpless women. This is Amina from Hajiganj, Chandpur. She can barely see anything through her eyes these days. Before arriving at this shelter, she was in Narayanganj at her husband's house, who passed away a few years back. Amina said her husband was very nice to her. She has no kids, but she had adopted three girls. Unfortunately, two of them have passed away, and her third daughter has no contact with her right now. When her husband passed away, then his elder brother's sons kicked Amina out of that house. Most of the elderly people in Bangladesh usually live with joint families. Typically, the children or the next generation of them are responsible to fulfill their needs. But due to social, emotional, and economic changes, the joint family structure is breaking up these days, which is very alarming for the elderly generation, especially women of this country. There is a chance that they may not get minimum medical facilities and accommodation to live in, or we may find these people in the street starving. This is Paki and she is from Chandpur, Bangladesh. Miss Shelley said her father left their family a long time ago and Paki's mom is not mentally stable anymore. Unfortunately, this girl got severely affected by dysentery in her childhood, which is why she may have lost both her eyes prematurely due to a lack of proper treatment. Here, I have noticed a few major problems in this organization. Firstly, they do not have a doctor with a separate chamber, though I have spoken with a medical compounder who came here with some medication and said he works here as a volunteer. Secondly, I haven't noticed any hygienic toilets for these poor ladies who live here. Also, they have very insufficient and damp space for these helpless women with a very unpleasant smell. Lastly, they couldn't provide them with a place for their own religious practice. Even though this place is so unlivable, still, some arrangements have been made to entertain these helpless women by the authority. They claim this is a private, non-political, non-profitable and service-oriented charity organization. At present, a total of 85 helpless and old women are living in this building. Also, I was told about 5 men and 15 women volunteers are here to take care of these ladies. Surprisingly, I haven't found a single woman in this place who said they are leading a miserable life here.